T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to The Twisted 10, bringing you original and unique, host-created top 10 lists, recorded live in world-famous Cocoa Beach, Florida, with hosts Tach Van Sickle and Adam Poston.
Welcome, everybody, to the Twisted 10. Yet again, here we are for another week. Whoop, whoop. My name is Tach. Across from me is...
I am Adam.
That's Adam.
Did I interrupt you?
No, it's cool.
I
was going to do some sort of superlative or something. It didn't matter.
Super what? Super laxative?
Super laxative. That's what I was going to do. So, how are things?
Hey, man. I'm happy. Pretty good.
Hey, you know what's cool about today's episode?
What's that?
A few things, really. Well, this is number 13, so good luck.
Yeah.
Also, we don't have to do anything in this episode.
I love it when we bring guests in.
We have another guest. I'm so excited.
We don't have to actually record or prep for recording.
No.
Yeah.
I actually haven't had to make a list in a long time because we just have guests all the time. Yep. It's nice. All right, so this week we have a guest. He is Ron Canniff from Unsquish the Fish.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
Oh,
Okay,
Am I
all right.
supposed to keep talking?
No.
So, number one.
Well, no, you start at number 10 and it works your way
sorry.
backwards.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to reverse it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm here too, though.
I know. We're going to get there.
We also have one other guest in studio, and that is Miss Andrea Joy.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
For those of you who don't remember, she brought us the top 10 twisted laws that are still in effect.
Ridiculous laws.
Ridiculous laws, yeah.
I'll get punished for that. Yeah, ridiculous
Lucky.
laws. That was a really good episode. I like that one a lot.
Indeed.
Oh, thank you guys.
Oh, my God, that's what I had. No, I'm just kidding.
Bam! Right out of the water.
Well, guys, it's been fun.
Great episode.
Nice. Yeah, so Ron, you did the preparation, so you've listened to a few of these shows, so you kind of know the format.
All of them.
You listen to all of them?
I've listened
Very
to all
cool.
of them.
Awesome.
You know the format. You do the research on your top 10 and bring your list. Me and Tach, and in this case, Andrea, have no clue what your top 10 list is all about.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too.
Ecstatic.
And I know especially, I think everyone's going to enjoy it, but I know especially,
Yeah?
like you're going to eat up some of the stuff on this list.
Oh, sweet.
You could talk about this stuff for days.
I'm in, man. So here, what Tach and I are going to do is pretty much turn the show over to you, man. This is you're behind the steering wheel of this fucking bus, so you take it where you want to go.
All right, in the spirit of how you guys normally do it, I don't really have a great name for it.
Sweet.
We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah,
For now, we're going to go with not top 10 ways, but really 10 ways, probably most of them least likely. Top 10 least likely, but possible ways, things that could cause human extinction.
Human extinction.
So,
One of Andrea's favorite movies to watch out of all of the different genres is the pandemic, epidemics, apocalyptic movies.
Yeah, these
Love
are
them.
Sweet.
yes.
so it's
I
top
like it.
10 twisted... What is it?
End of the world.
Top 10
Top 10 twisted...
tantalizing,
Titillating...
terrific. We'll come up with it.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So I have no twist in this. These are all actual things
Okay.
that could happen, although some much less likely than others. Also, I will say that what you will not hear on this is nuclear war is not on this list because everybody knows
So the
that.
obvious ones are not there, or for
Right.
the most part, the obvious ones. are not there.
Pandemic to an extent, like a
Okay.
normal kind of pandemic, you're not going to hear on there. Trying to think of what are I don't want you guys to name anything because you might need something on here.
No, I know.
I'm trying
I
to
have
think of some
ideas,
other-
but I don't want
I'm
to say
trying to
anything.
think of some other real basic
Okay.
ways that
I was thinking gluten was going to take over the world.
that was number 11. It just didn't make the list.
Just
Who was it? Was it your list that actually told us the number of people who actually suffer from the gluten intolerance or gluten?
Yeah, we
whatever
talked
it was,
about gluten
was
on
like
another episode.
0.02% of people in the world
Yes.
actually have it, and it's now a giant fad, and it's all it is a marketing campaign.
Yes,
all
it's
it
a
is.
marketing campaign to
Yeah.
make money, of course, like
It's
most of the
okay.
diets.
I'm on an all gluten diet.
All gluten. Give me the extra gluten, please.
So I attempted to, although many of these things you guys will have heard of before, but they're all less likely to cause the extinction of mankind.
Okay.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, take it away.
Number 10,
Your show.
which I accidentally numbered number 1, but I will do reverse number.
Failure.
So,
That's the same thing our boy Jimmy did in here. You know Jimmy, I think, right?
I know Jimmy.
Okay.
Yes. So number 10, zombie apocalypse.
Sweets. That's my favorite. All right off the bat.
All right, so
Go ahead.
okay, so I will say what I wrote here, my little summarization of my
Right.
information, and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
Okay, so CDC warnings have been given, actually. Says possibility not likely, but has given out much information on preparing for one just in case, according to an article in Forbes magazine. Also, the U.S. government enacted a bill in 2012 to prepare just in case of a zombie apocalypse, including how to protect non-zombie humans. That is a quote in the bill. From
Holy
zombies
shit.
and how to eradicate the zombies and more.
Attack on the same bill. They talked about fairies that are going to come down
Yeah.
and fly us away on their wings.
Is this
and-
like zombie Americans? So they have like no rights. Is what they're saying?
Pretty much that once you're a zombie, we're just wiping you off the face of the earth.
So
You're
no
done.
rights, no zombie rights at all.
No, there'll be no zombie rights.
Just last rights,
I searched
right?
really hard to figure out what bathroom they're allowed to use. I couldn't really figure that one out.
Oh, too
We're
soon?
not concerned. They have no rights, so we're not concerned.
Well, they are
They don't
zombies.
have rights.
They are zombies, so they have a big target on their head.
Yeah.
Oh, you see what I did there?
They're
Bam.
not going to even
I
use
like
the
that.
bathroom. They're just going to go.
Yeah, like that.
seconds.
Yeah, likely. They just use their pants that they bought at Target.
While they were human.
So I figured that would be an interesting topic of conversation. Like, we think it's all sci-fi, and mostly it is. But they're concerned, the CDC is concerned, that if a disease caused zombie-like, had a zombie-like effect on people and was mass spread,
Sure.
that the actual zombie apocalypse could happen. The CDC actually likes all the zombie craze. It thinks that it encourages the zombie preparedness.
Well, it's a giant social experiment, is what they're doing with a lot of the things that are out there. All this media attention, all the what do they call them, like flash mob style reenactment type things. They see how it could occur in real life. Not that obviously, but how an outbreak could occur. They actually did the CDC did a really interesting study way back in the day. I don't know if you remember, I used to play a video game called World of Warcraft.
Oh, yes.
Way back in the day. The CDC, hey, I'm all right with it. The CDC contracted Blizzard, the owner or the maker, whatever, to release a virus inside one of their major cities in the game. This is all computer game type shit. They release a virus to one character inside the game and see how fast it spreads, and then watch what the reactions of all the characters and tunes would do. Now, this is a fictitious world, but it was ridiculous how characters would create their own separations of, affected and non-affected, how they would lob in, whatever to destroy the characters inside, and they would reanimate. And, it was really an interesting study. It was a real study the CDC contacted Blizzard to do, just because they wanted to see what real people's reaction would be to something like this in a fictitious environment. So they think in real life, it would have real similar repercussions. That was their study anyway. Really, I think it was a nerd at CDC that just wanted to engage World of Warcraft players, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's nonetheless. Now, let me ask you one thing. Is that number 10 any way related to me and you back in the day going to see our favorite movie?
Oh,
Resident
Evil. I mean, it's the most obvious ones. Like, if you Google things that the government is prepared for, it's the number one thing that comes up, and mostly it's because of that 2012 bill that was introduced into the government, that they actually passed to prepare for zombie apocalypse.
That's friggin' awesome.
All the bills in the world.
Yeah.
So I
Good thing they're
thought
working
I
on
would
that.
make it number 10, and it's like everyone's probably heard of that bill mostly or remembers something about it, get it out of the way, but still according to science or to CDC, a possible way that humans could be eradicated from the earth.
Interesting. That's Andrea's going to take our lasagna out of the oven.
Is that a euphemism for sex?
I mean,
This is a wrong
sorry,
show to
wrong
talk
show
about.
for that conversation.
maybe.
My bad.
But we're still listed as explicit in iTunes, so we can say things like sex and, but
I've heard the F word on this
Vagina.
show before, I swear.
We try to refrain, but it comes out every once in a
Okay,
while.
my bad.
It's all good.
No, you're all good.
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay, number 9. Solar storms.
Okay.
This one's a lot more likely, just given the Well, anyway, I'll read it. How about that?
All right.
Okay.
In 1859, a solar storm wiped out most of the telegraph stations, which is about all it could wipe out at the time.
You mean my HD TV wouldn't work either?
No, not so much. It is expected that if such an occurrence happened in present day, it would wipe out electricity for 6 months or longer in most places and cause life as we now know it to change drastically. Mass hysteria, mass suicides,
Cats
et
and
cetera.
dogs
living together.
Yes.
Mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point. Oh, sorry.
Andrea, do you know the movie?
No.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Who you gonna call?
A dystopian type society would likely ensue in many places, including parts of the U.S. Government may have to take more control to protect us, which in turn would cause more issues. It's kind of an endless list of circumstances, but pretty much a pretty big solar storm, which could happen, has, like I said last time, 1859, just going to wipe out the power grids to help protect us against this. Actually, legislation was just passed last year trying to protect, not just necessarily against solar storms, but against an attack against the power grid. But the solar storms part, that was the part that intrigued me. I was like, oh, that's interesting, because that's something that's actually happened. Had what happened in 1859 happened now, it would be pandemonium.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, what exactly is, and I kind of know this answer, but I don't. What exactly is a solar storm?
It's something to do with like some electromagnetic field given off of the sun. That's about I didn't get into the deep part of what it was as much as the effects it would cause.
You can't get deep in?
No.
Okay, just checking.
I don't have the right tools.
Yeah, it's radiation. It's not so much like extra sunlight that would happen
it's
to
something
hit
to
us.
do with electromagnetic field or something like that. I'm sure someone who's listening to this now who's an actual knows is like screaming right now.
That's our boy up in University of Florida. Derek, Derek's going, you morons!
You stupid idiots! I gotta go back on there and learn them something again.
Yep, no kidding.
So if that were to happen, the teenagers would be the first to go, right?
Oh yeah, my son would be it. Dude.
I would be, I'd be gone too.
Tax would be done. Tax dating life would be done.
But think about it.
Or lack of.
You're not gonna be able to use credit cards for who knows how long. It's gonna wipe out satellites. So forget having a cell phone for who knows how long. I mean, they have to try and launch it back in. You know how many satellites they have up there? How long it took them to do that? It's not like they're going to be able to send 10 rockets a day to get all that going again.
The hand motion was well worth it.
Credit cards, all that.
Yeah.
You're going to have money. You can't even get to it. Everything's pretty much electronic now and digital. So,
well, let me ask you this, though. If it wiped out all the records, would it also get rid of my credit debt?
it's very possible.
Could I go back to zero?
Yes.
Mr. Robot.
Yes.
Can we make some soap and help that process along?
Some soap.
Yeah, there's 2 rules that I want you to pay attention to. Rule 1 is you don't talk about
Talk about it,
Like,
yeah.
And then rule 2
I
is,
got you. All right, I was lost on that.
I like the solar storms. That's, that happens all the time. So we get bombarded with extra ions or radiation from the sun out of those solar flares. We get hit by them all the time. And it takes them how long, Tach, to reach Earth?
8 minutes?
That's right. It takes 8 minutes at the speed of light for those things to reach us. But we get hit by them all the time. Usually our magnetic shell that protects Earth, the entire planet, that's why we've got the Aurora Borealis, protects us from those things. Mm-hmm. But usually about 1 or 2 a day, 1 or 2 floods of these extra, radiation comes through and it does actually affect us. Now, every time they've ever predicted this, those we're going to have communication interruptions, those types of things, it's been very isolated. Only older technologies or, things that are not as redundant, so you don't have redundant types of communication satellites around the planet that are in orbit, whatever, those are the ones that are affected. It would have to be one massive fucking storm for it to take out the entire planet and affect all
the power grid and everything.
Is that why
the one in 1859 would have? That's what they're saying. If that happened now, definitely.
Is that the reason why the Martians of today live underground?
I like it.
Interesting you asked that question. We may come back to something like that.
There was a. Did you guys ever see the apocalyptic movie called Numbers?
No.
I don't think so.
Let me tell you this: the best destruction of the planet scene, and there's no, that's not a spoiler, but the best destruction of the world scene came in that movie, and it's with the guy that did Face Off. Who's the guy that did Face Off?
Which one?
Not Travolta. Nicolas Cage. It was Nicolas Cage, and he had an autistic son that heard voices. I won't give anything away, but leading up from that to the end of the movie is when the planet is destroyed by the sun, and it is by far the best apocalyptic end of the world I've ever seen, with the exception of the new Star Wars. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The new Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars number 7.
Yes.
That big giant thing that blows up planets.
Yeah.
Or blows up multiple planets at once, like the Super Death Star. I don't remember what it was called. It was a
why
planet.
didn't I watched the movie? Why don't I? Why do I feel like I don't remember?
It's kind of a major part
It's
in
the
the
thing.
movie.
It's the thing they blew up.
You know the whole point of the whole story.
Did this happen before or after Han Solo was?
It's where Han Solo was
Whoa!
when they blew it up.
spoiler. No,
Oh, really? It's been out like 5 months.
This ain't
Man, I
taint.
haven't even seen it yet.
Too bad.
Now I
You
can't
had-
watch it.
You had 5 months.
This is not taint funny. We're allowed to give spoilers away 2 months after the movie's
So
been out.
I have to say, was it before or after Han
It was,
Solo was killed?
no, yeah, right after he was killed. That's when
Okay,
they
I
escaped
blacked
and
out.
blew it up.
I blacked out after that and went into some kind of Star Wars coma, so I really don't remember anything.
Whoa.
I put a post. I put a post on Tach's Facebook page for his other podcast, Taint Funny, that had a red Solo cup with a fake plastic lightsaber through it, and I said, "Too soon."
Nice.
All right,
All right.
good number 9.
Okay. Number 8.
Number 8 of Ron's
Eight.
twisted
End of the world
apocalyptic.
stuff.
Extinction.
Extinction? Is this an ENZ commercial? Ends commercial? Isn't that one of those?
Extends.
Ends.
What is that?
Making those extend.
It's just a pill that it increases blood flow. It's all it does. Not that I would know from personal experience.
Sure.
The secret.
It's a secret. Cialis. All right. Number 8.
Number 8.
Artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, that's
Ooh.
topical. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty recent too. There's been a lot of advances in that.
Yeah, so honestly, I didn't make a lot of notes because I know this would just be an awesome topic of discussion, but
no
pretty
kidding.
much I put
I'll be back.
just about every great scientific or technological mind of our time give warnings about the creation of AI, including Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates,
I can't steal that again from Big Bang.
Steve Jobs, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all give out warnings. Do not, under any circumstances, whatever you do, create actual artificial intelligence.
And guess what's
Bottom
going to
line,
happen?
Terminator. I mean, bottom line, Terminator.
Guess
That's
what's
it.
going to happen? It's going to be made anyway.
There is, for sure.
Of course.
I mean, we can take it back a level to Metallica. I'm gonna bring this back to Metallica for Tach.
Let's see where you're going with this one.
Back in the early 2000s, Metallica's frontman, help me out
James
here.
Hetfield.
Thank you. Was so against and out there to completely stop the advancement of certain types of technology to be invented and shared. He was the one of the first headliners against what was the original Napster, the original MP3 sharing site, Napster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Napster.
yeah.
He was against it so much so that he approached Congress and different lawmakers to try to get it passed to prevent the technology from
Right.
being used in the U.S. and if he could around the world. The problem is you can never stop technological advantage because of how our society has advanced in the last 150 years. You cannot stop it. So if there's somebody out there smart enough to make AI, it's going to be made. It just will be made.
Eventually, yeah.
Of course.
It may not be in our lifetime, but it definitely will be made. There's no question.
Did you guys see, and I don't remember, now I'm mad at myself, Microsoft has been playing with some AI of sorts with Twitter. Did you see what happened?
No.
Okay, so they're trying to get something that actually responds like a human, learns and grows and responds like a human. So they gave it access to a Twitter account. They let people tweet to it, and it would tweet back whatever it wanted to say.
The very first thing it tweets back is "Show me your boobs."
No, it started saying the most like racist, anti-Semitic stuff you could imagine because people were totally screwing with it.
Really?
Yes, it was really interesting. They had to shut it down after like 3 days.
Can you give me some examples, Ron? I'm kidding.
I don't.
I'm kidding.
You know what? If I actually was following, now I can't remember the account's on there, but they deleted all of the
I'm
racist
sure.
remarks and
What's
whatnot.
the name of the account?
I'd have to look it up. I'm sorry.
A Jew hater?
If you
No, I'm kidding.
it's called Hitler's Twitter account.
Hitler's Twitter.
You just named my 90s band.
Nice.
Hold on 1 second. Microsoft AI Twitter bot. Hold on 1 second. I'll find it. Real
If you
quick.
ask Siri who's better, Microsoft or Apple, what would she say?
Let's do it.
If you ask Siri, you guys are both on iPhones. If you
Let's
ask
do it.
Siri, all right, ask her.
It's called Tay Tweets. TAY Tweets.
Hold on, I gotta
That's-
follow this now. Hold on.
Yes. I guess they're looking to eventually start it back up again. I don't believe that they have yet. But it was pretty hilarious.
That may not be a good idea.
Well, they're trying to experiment. Can something learn? I mean, in essence, even though it's kind of funny because Bill Gates is the one that says, "Please do not make AI." Hey, look what we're doing, boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Keep it up.
Well, I mean, one of the things about having the most power in the world is to keep and maintain that power. If Bill Gates can invent AI, guess what he's going to do? He's going to invent AI.
Oh, currently, you have to be approved now to follow. That wasn't the case before.
I just saw that. It
KNU,
said pending. Yeah.
So interesting. That wasn't the case before, so you can't even see the tweets now. Very interesting.
Is it weird that Microsoft only allows in the Westboro Baptist Church members as the... Sorry.
Gosh.
Too soon again?
The Lord
Hold
is
on.
coming.
What is better, Microsoft or Apple?
Personally, I'm an Apple fan.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I was hoping she would say, fuck off.
I want you to ask it a question. This is totally off subject, but we'll get onto this subject
All
later.
right.
I want you to ask it, how many lights are there?
Hold on. Ask you what?
How many lights are there?
How many lights are there?
Here's some information.
Okay. On some of these Siri type things, but not actual Siri, if you ask something, how many lights are there or how many lights do you see, it will always answer 4. Do you know why that is?
No, hang on. Let me try mine.
Yeah, try yours to see if it will.
You don't have Siri.
How many
I have-
lights
Exactly.
do you
We want to
see?
do something that's not Siri.
How many lights are there?
Google search how many lights are there.
No.
No, okay. The reason for that is, and we actually did this with the one on our, so we had one on the Nook. There was
Yeah.
one on the Nook, and we did it, and we were just curious. I wonder if we asked that question, we'll see. And it actually said 4 lights. It's from a Star Trek Next Generation episode where
Oh.
Picard is like held captive by the Kardashians. No, the Cardassians. And I got to say it that way every time.
They have big ships.
And they're trying to brainwash him. There's 5 lights, but they insist, we will give
Sure
you
it's
food,
not
we'll
the
do this if you
Kardashians.
just say 4. And he refuses to do it. And so it's a continuous question. How many lights are there? How many lights do you see? How many lights are there?
Huh,
So when we
okay.
asked the question, it actually said there are 4 lights. We thought that was hilarious. So
That's
totally, I mean, absolutely geeking out with that comment that had nothing to do with what I was talking about.
You know who our audience is, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. Oh, my list went way. Okay, here it is. All right, you guys ready for...
So what was number 8 again?
Number 8 was
AI.
AI, artificial
AI.
intelligence.
So number 7.
So number 7, bee extinction.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Yes.
This is the domino
Scientists
effect.
say, what,
Yes.
4 years, I think?
I'm sorry?
Scientists say, what, 4 years?
Could be, if measures
Could-
aren't taken
could
4,
be.
6, 10 years. Could be.
Have you ever heard that, Andrea? The bee extinction?
Fuck bees.
Or the bee theory?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so first off, just the basics, real basic. They pollinate 70% of the 100% of crop species feeding 90% of the world. You got that?
That was way too many statistics. Oh, did you also know that 27.2% of statistics are made up on the spot?
Nice.
I fucked that up a little bit. I kind of fumbled
I don't know.
on it.
So it's all right.
get it.
It's all right. So here we go. So 70% of the 100% of crop species that feed 90% of the world, bees pollinate.
I heard you. I understood what you
I
said.
believe only 75% of us
slower
got
for
that.
Adam.
I swear, when I typed it out and I read it, it made sense. I probably typed it
I
incorrect.
totally got it. I'm with you.
40% of the time, it works every time.
So, nice. Secondly, if we lose all the plants that bees pollinate, all of the animals that eat those plants, and so on and so forth, and there you go. And those are the reasons.
And
why.
they tell 3 friends, and
Yeah, exactly. So if you join my Amway, this is how much money you make.
And that's got to be number 1. How does the planet die from multi-level marketing?
Multi-level marketing from Amway salesman.
No, they do say that. So that bee thing has been brought up in a lot of sci-fi movies, a lot of apocalyptic style movies. Is the first thing that will go is bees before the end of man, and they're able to show that. Now, in reality, I don't know how true that is. I would be interested to see a case study in a certain part of the world where they control the ecology very well and test that.
Yeah, let's test it. You were right. All these 100,000 people all died. Good experiment.
No, you'd obviously step in before something bad
When
happened.
they're like,
I think we do that already. It's called Philadelphia.
That looks like the zombies. That's when we turn into zombies.
That's when they turn into
Bees
zombies.
lead to the zombies. How are the bees wiped out? AI? How are the people wiped out from the bees and the
Yeah,
turning into
exactly.
I see what you're doing
The
here.
circle of life.
It is the circle of life.
It's a different
You know,
circle. I think.
It's funny that you guys mention it. Keep this little theory in mind as we go through this
The
list.
circle of life?
The circle of death.
The circle of death.
Huh.
Is that when the Kardashians take over the world?
No, Tack. It's when you watch that movie and then you get a phone call and 7 minutes later, or seven
gotcha.
days later, you die.
The Ring
Yeah. Circle. Jerk?
circle.
What?
So I've never actually seen the movie The Ring. Is it a ring like on your finger, or is it like a telephone ring?
No, neither.
It's
I know
really,
when my cell phone
It's a
rings.
whale.
it's really a well. Yeah.
It could only mean
It's
one
a
thing.
circle. He doesn't care.
Oh, sorry.
No, he's singing.
I was thinking Drake.
It's really a well. So what you're looking at on the screen,
You're looking up from the bottom of a well.
Yeah.
Is
Is
the
the
ring,
light
is
from
the ring,
the-
the circle.
Ah.
Ron, you would know it as
Spoiler.
looking up at my. That movie's from the 90s.
Looking up
dude.
at Uranus.
Is it that old?
The Ring. I think the first one was 98 or 99, wasn't it?
Wow.
Probably
Time flies.
maybe early 2000s.
Are you having fun?
Always.
Okay. Time flies when you're having fun.
Nice. Yes, gotcha. You guys are ready now?
Yes.
For number... Okay, I gotta count, because it's all backwards. Number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Super Volcano.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a new hero, but last time a super volcano exploded, it is estimated that human and human-like species, okay, we're not going to get into all that again. Human and human-like species were possibly down into the tens of thousands globally.
Damn.
The closest supervolcano to us is Yellowstone. Yellowstone is an active supervolcano, by the way. Yellowstone averages a major eruption about every 75,000 years or so. It has been about 70,000 years since its last eruption. There are about 20 known supervolcanoes on Earth.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was that many.
Yes,
We
quite a
should
bit.
get rid of Yellowstone.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Just pave over it.
Pretty much. Just so you know, like the power of the eruption of a supervolcano. First off, when it first happens, like there's pretty much nothing left of all the way into Canada down to Florida, like just absolutely buried in ash, just buried in so much ash we would never recover. Would
It's
pretty much
like a nuclear
it could pretty
explosion.
much just like destroy, life as we know it in essence.
You'd have like
Right.
nuclear winter and all this kind of crap, I'm imagining.
Oh, well, I don't know if it's nuclear. I don't know if there's any radioactive fallout that would come out of that, but you would the results would be the same. Where the nuclear winter causes the blocking of the sun, which kills the crops and kills the animals. Yeah, I'm sure that would happen, but I don't know if there would be nuclear fallout per se from that. I don't know if there's any radioactive material that's down
Still
there.
not a good day.
No, definitely not.
that
But it
is
makes
bad
for a
day.
really good movie.
Yeah.
2012? No, what
Can't
movie
see
was it?
it. Can't see it very well, but I'm just kidding.
Where the one dude was standing on top.
Talking
Was
about
the
the
one guy
rock,
standing
the
on top
one
of
that
I thought that was
Andreas?
about the big giant earthquake or something, or 20.
No,
I
the
thought that
one-
was just 2012 in general because people thought the world was going to end in 2012.
Yeah, it was 2012.
Was that
But
the
the
Mayan calendar
The
deal?
super volcano went off in 2012, and what's his name was standing on top of it with his little handheld ham radio.
Yeah.
John Cusack.
Well, no, John Cusack was the guy at the bottom of it, talking to him. That guy was the
I
one
saw
on
the
top of
movie
it.
like once.
They
and
got
I
in the
don't
van and ran off, got in the
What
plane
was that?
and
Why did the Earth end in 2012? What was going on? I never saw the movie. I heard it was stupid.
I don't remember.
Oh, it was a magnetic shifting of the poles, which does happen,
Oh,
by the way. Hopefully,
yes.
that's not one of your other.
It isn't actually.
Okay, yeah,
Because
magnetic-
that was another one that so many people had heard of, so I didn't put it in there. Asteroid slamming into the Earth is another
Yeah.
one I didn't put in there. Just
that's
because.
good.
Let's not talk about that stuff. It's boring.
True.
Dinosaurs are going to take over the world.
Did you actually hear there's a new theory out there from scientists right now that dinosaurs did not at all have.
They're not extinct.
No.
That'd be awesome.
Penis.
Just on 95, see a brontosaurus.
They did not. They were not extinct from an asteroid when they were predicted to be extinct from an asteroid.
It was from the flood.
It was last week. From the flood, like Moses?
Well, Moses-
That flood?
That's what
Noah
you-
couldn't fit him on the
Thinking of
boat.
Noah,
Nice
not
try, though.
Moses.
What now?
He did that on purpose.
What did I do?
Noah.
Noah, not Moses.
Whatever.
Moses parted the sea.
And found the dinosaurs.
Noah fit.
They came up
Yeah.
and then they were flooded again.
Noah put all the animals on the boat except for the unicorns. That's why they don't exist anymore.
So
And the mermaids.
if I sound stupid about the Bible, good.
You don't need to put mermaids on the boat.
Speaking of sci-fi, well, let's not be too insensitive, but speaking of science fiction, I mean, that's right. Been there along.
Okay.
Why? You would be the perfect person to ask this question to.
Perfect person.
Where does the Bible sit in a bookstore? In the fiction
On
or
a
nonfiction?
bookshelf?
No, it's smart, bud.
In the spiritual section?
It's in my
The spiritual section. Yeah.
It sits in the Bible section.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's just a Bible section.
How about in the
Yes.
library?
What is library? I have no idea.
Also, the spiritual section. It's got all the different religions,
Okay.
all the different books.
All right.
Interesting.
You know, I had to go to a library a
Astrology.
couple of years ago, and I was looking for a specific book. When's the last time you guys used the Dewey Decimal System?
Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
High school?
I was like,
1999.
oh, you go to these card
they
catalogs.
still
well,
use that in
well, no.
libraries?
now you can look it up online, and it says, oh, DEC 214.3, and you're like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I was like, oh my God. So I was like, I don't even know. I had to go to the lady. I'm like, I haven't had to use this since like third grade. I mean, where's this book at? You know, and I don't know.
She knew exactly
crazy.
where it was.
Yeah,
didn't
she knew where it was.
Yeah, but it
I
took
was
him
like-
an hour to get there because of her walker and...
Yeah,
That's just mean.
it was nuts.
All right, so now if I remember correctly, I'm supposed to review the last 5.
Have you
Yeah,
done
right.
5? Is that 5 already?
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
gone
give us those
10 through
5.
6. All right, so 10 through 6, zombie apocalypse,
Sweet.
solar storms, AI, artificial intelligence.
Not the movie.
No, not the movie. Bee extinction and super volcano.
Sweet.
You
Well, very
won't believe what number 2 is.
You motherfucker.
I had to say
I
it.
hate that. All right, well, we're going to take a break.
Yep.
And we'll be back with the next 5 out of our boy Ron from Unsquish the Fish.
See ya.
Hey, this is Adam. This week's Twisted 10 is brought to you by just Tach and myself. We don't have a sponsor for this week's show. So Tach and I have been talking a lot about having sponsorships in our podcast, weighing the pros and the cons. You know, we're a big fan of having more content than advertising. So as opposed to listening to a radio show where 40% of your time that you're listening to the show is built around sponsorships, Tach and I think that the content delivery is far more important. While the delivery of content of a podcast is paramount to the success of the show, sometimes you gotta have sponsors to help cover some of the bills. While we do have 2 sponsors currently for both of our shows, that's the Twisted 10, which is this show, and Living Podcariously, which is another show that Tach and I produce, a little bit more raw and rough. We do have some opportunities that are coming up for other sponsors. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the Twisted 10 or Living Podcariously, shoot us an email at show@livingpodcariously.com, and we'll get back with you with the contract details.
And welcome back to the show. And we are sitting here with Ron Canniff from Unsquish the Fish, and we are talking about the top 10 twisted end of the world possibility things that
Human
will kill.
extinction?
There you go.
So
Yes.
So where are we at? Number 5, right?
Number 5, runaway physics experiments.
very nice. Large Hadron Collider. What?
The
Yes.
Stupid weasels.
So as scientists make more discoveries and gain more knowledge, they are starting to kind of tamper with things they really don't know. Kind of create things or bring things onto the earth that they don't know what kind of effect it'll have, what kind of reaction it'll have. You mentioned the hadron,
LHC, yeah,
the
Large Hadron
Collider that many people tried to pick it and keep them from even turning on because they were so scared that
I mean, because
it was going to create a black hole, possibly.
it
Right,
creates hundreds of them every
Yeah.
time it collides. Yeah, that's the whole idea behind it.
Yes.
Microscopic black holes are formed.
So that's actually the biggest fear, is that eventually they are going to do something to create like a large black hole. That's they're expecting that to like eventually just to happen.
Wasn't there some guy that was allegedly a time traveler that showed up there and was trying to destroy it or something like that years ago?
Man, I did not hear that.
Yeah, I didn't hear
but
that
I'd
either.
like to. Please.
I'd have to look it up. I don't know much more about it.
Oh, I never
I
heard
heard
that. That's
some
interesting.
guy that I'll look it up and continue.
No, on that one. That's what I have pretty
Yeah.
much.
So, Andrew, do you know what Large Hadron Collider is?
No.
All right, so it's put together by a company, or not a company, a conglomerate called CERN, and it is a 13-mile ring of these particle accelerators over in. It's below both France and France. What 2 countries is it below? because it crosses a border.
I know it's in
Switzerland?
Europe.
Is it Switzerland?
Actually,
I know it's in Europe. It was originally supposed to happen in the United States, but too much red tape couldn't get it done.
Of course.
Switzerland and whatever's next to it.
Well, anyway, what they do there, the original intent, because there's thousands of possible scientific experiments they can perform in this. What it does is it fires electron or particles, individual particles or clumps of particles around this ring, almost to the speed of light. So it's going however fast the speed of light is, 7 trillion miles a second.
1.21 gigawatts? No, I'm just kidding.
And then they fire an opposing particle going the opposite direction at the same speed. And then right where they're supposed to connect, right at the collision location, they have all the scientific experiments set up to record the data that comes out of that. And they collide these particles and they record what happens. Because of this collision, they were actually able to capture and prove the theoretical existence of the Higgs boson, which is the quote-unquote God particle. It's the particle that has only been theorized to exist, never has been proven to exist until now. And they won the Nobel Prize, in 2013 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. This actually was originally conceived, I think, in the late 70s, the actual concept.
Well, there are other Hadron Colliders. This is just the large one. The rest of them are...
This particular one. And to collect all the information, it was the whole kind of the basis behind, I don't know if you knew this, the basis behind the creation of the internet was how are we going to share all this information with everybody at once? That's like really how the kind of the concept of the internet was even created, was all based off this experiment.
No, I didn't know that.
But just this experiment and experiments like this are just, people are nervous. Even scientists themselves are nervous that one day their own experiment is going to create this black hole, just suck the planet in and be done.
So the other part of that Large Hadron Collider experiment is that when you collide these masses together, these individual particles together, you create a lot of friction and a lot of gravitational pull. Well, the theory originally was that you could potentially create a little black hole. Well, they actually did do that. They've created microscopic black holes that are in existence for, 1,000th of a millisecond. So the lifespan of one of these is so short that it doesn't, it poses zero harm to, us as and humanity. You would need a lot more mass than just these little individual particles to create anything that's dangerous enough to actually cause a threat to the planet or to, even in their vicinity. Maybe. It would have to be a lot bigger.
Maybe.
Well, in theory, of course.
There was a show they made that sounds just like that. I can't think of what it was.
Big Bang Theory?
No, it was a dramatic show. But, no, I can't.
How long ago? Give us a time frame. You're kind of talking to the media.
4 years ago.
Show or movie?
Show. It was a show. Because it started out and all, like, the lights and everything went out. Everything electronic, everything magnetic, all
Weird
stopped.
science?
And then, no, it's a dramatic show. No, but then they had this whole, like, place. There was a place that had it, and when they pushed this button, then everything got sucked into the black hole.
The Flash did something similar to that. They had an LHC that they were firing, and that was about that time frame.
I have my phone.
Where's your phone?
Tach, any luck on the time traveler?
I'm just reading a little more.
And Tach's on like Vogue.com at this point. He's off in his own world.
Nice.
Okay, so I found the story. This happened back in 2010. Some guy named Eloy Cole.
Elon Musk, that would have been great.
Yeah. Strangely dressed young man wearing a fluorescent bow tie told authorities that he had traveled back in time to prevent the LHC from destroying the world. Mr. Cole was seized by Swiss police after security guards spotted him rooting around in bins. Authorities reported that he could not reveal his country of origin. He says, quote, "Countries do not exist where I am from."
Pangea.
Yeah. He explained that he was looking for fuel for his time machine power unit, a device that resembled a kitchen
This
blender.
is awesome.
That sounds... Is it Mr... What is it called in Back to the Future? Mr.
Fusion.
Mr. Fusion? Yeah.
The LHC successfully collided particle. It just talks about what that is. And then I guess he was taken into custody and then later disappeared from his holding cell.
No kidding.
Just gone. So.
Wow. Okay, so that part kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop.
Check Snoops.
Snopes,
whatever.
Snoops,
whatever.
Jizzy, the child travel wizard.
Dr.
Jizzy.
The story is real rizzle, my nizzle. I had to save my own. I had to save myself.
That's a good thing. That's a good job. That's very good on you.
So,
what'd you find, Andrea?
I can't get on the internet.
She found that she cannot get on the
I
internet.
found cleavage. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't stop staring. I'm
No,
sorry.
whatever.
Leave
Don't
it
bother
to
me.
cleavage.
Look at you got your boobs practically sticking out of your shirt. Out of your turtleneck.
Olive.
Olive.
I killed my own joke.
All right, so that was number 5.
All right.
Runaway physics experiments.
Moving on to number 4.
Number four.
Number 4. Synthetic biology.
Like making. Well, I'll read your thing.
The largest concern with this is the accidental or purposeful creation of a virus, etc., that could eradicate life on the planet. Whether that be human life or other life, and by extension wipe out life on the planet. Although most experimentation is tightly controlled, as more technology and discovery get in the hands of less careful countries and entities, the chance increases. So mostly it's about creating viruses, possibly.
Well, synthetic bioengineering, that was kind of the number 4 one.
Mm-hmm.
What was the movie?
GMO goes right into that, by the way. And I know that's a topic that you're interested in.
Sort of. What was the movie where everybody in this world, this dystopian society, had clocks on their arms where it would count down?
Oh, right.
Wasn't that with...
I thought it was Leo.
No,
No, that was with the
Justin
dude who sings.
Timberlake
Yeah,
and-
Justin Timberlake.
And
Oh,
Olivia
Justin Timberlake,
Wilde was in it too.
What was that movie called?
I don't
Out of
remember.
Time, maybe, or something?
Yeah, something like that.
That might be
Something
right.
like
Nick
that.
of Time? No, it's a different one.
Back in time.
Gotta get back
Gotta
in
get back
time.
in-
That's for you and Johnny. So in that movie, they created an expiration date on the people, so they could bioengineer expiration dates, and you could update your expiration date on your arm, well, your body.
It was like currency.
With
Time
that was currency. So there was one thing where the Justin or whatever his character is went to play a game of Texas Hold'em and bet everything except for like a minute left
Yeah.
of his life,
Right.
and of course he won back that time. And a little bit of a spoiler effect.
No, I'm just
The movie's like 4 years old.
Oh,
older than that.
back to number 5 real quick.
All right.
What's up?
This show is Revolution.
It's gonna be a revolution.
It was 15 years after a permanent global blackout. A group of revolutionaries seek to drive out I can't even read it. An occupying force posing as the United States government. But what it is this big experiment that they have going on that could cause this big black hole that everyone's going to get sucked into. So I never found out what happened.
Sounds like the LHC to me.
Indeed.
It's a really cool TV
There's
show.
actually a theory that they're going to put a hadron collider, a large hadron collider, in space.
I think it might have turned a little too
What
dramatic.
would be the
myself
difference,
watching.
by the way? Kicking back to number 5. What would be the difference in doing that, in putting it in space versus having it on the planet?
Less risk of malfunction. What are you going to blow up in space? Nobody can hear you scream in space.
The collider itself.
Yeah, just the collider. You'll have no fallout, no damage to the planet or anything else.
And you have
just
more
the-
room and less
Just the
track.
physical
Just saying.
part of it, really, is
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Less traffic. Yeah.
Less traffic. Nice.
Coffee's not as good, but
Yeah,
Right.
so
Back to number 4.
4 was synthetic biology.
So-
mostly synthetic diseases, which may have already been created. and we don't know.
when you
like
first
AIDS, for instance, they think.
Yes, they think
synthetic
could have
AIDS.
been created,
Right.
lab created.
right.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying I'm giving you an
It's a
example
theory.
Yeah,
of a
sure.
theory.
Conspiracy theories are fun. We did a whole show on it. Was it episode 4, I think. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
When you first said that, though, what was the title again? Synthetic.
Synthetic biology.
All right, so synthetic biology to me doesn't necessarily mean viruses or manufactured viruses. Synthetic biology could also mean growing organs, growing replacement parts, growing those things. And then you've got an entire species dependent on the replication of their organs, and hence you've created a new form of, youth and forever existence, but you've also created a new form of dependency. And whenever you create a
But
form
what-
of dependency, you've created a massive money-making and currency-gaining idea.
So you're talking about all these people that are made up from these synthetic parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
What bathroom do they use?
Nice.
Kidding, sorry.
Don't go to North Carolina.
Nice. Yeah, that's very interesting. But that also in lies the question: if you replace all the parts of a person, have you replaced the person themselves? Have you changed the soul of that person?
We've discussed that briefly on
Yeah,
another
we-
episode.
Yeah, we brought that up in the past.
So, these are all things that could be. There's lists of things that could be have synthetic biology, but the one that could possibly destroy the planet is the virus part.
Yeah, I guess
Because when you introduce a virus that is not actually known to the Earth at all of a sudden, I mean, you have no idea. It's no different than if aliens came to the planet and brought whatever their common cold is, or even just whatever their common, microbes are with them that we're not used to. I mean, could wipe off the face of the Earth. Martian Chronicles, that is exactly what we did. We wiped off life off the planet, Ray Bradbury.
Or
we wiped life off of Mars just by, who knows, like a common cold or just something that was common to us.
Or hear me out here. What if you did this synthetic biology, made all these organs, got them out to the entire world's population, and all of them had a remote control detonation built into their DNA where you could kill everybody with the stroke of a button?
They couldn't get through customs with that.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Is that from a movie or something you just said?
What I just said? No, but it sounds like a really fucking cool movie, doesn't it?
That should be a movie.
That should be a movie.
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Story. Yeah, whisper so nobody knows about it.
I will redneck patent that. I'll email it to myself. And
redneck patent.
I'm
Nice.
good. All right, cool.
Nice.
On to number 3.
Okay, I gotta get back to my list. Sorry.
Number 3.
Number 3. This one's interesting. Nanotech accident.
Nanotech accident. Okay.
So accident. Okay. So what is nanotech? The branch of technology that deals with dimensions and tolerances of less than 100 nanometers. Manipulation of individual, I apologize, 1,000 nanometers. Manipulation of individual atoms and molecules. These nanobots could learn to replicate themselves, wiping out and destroying all life on Earth. By the way, a nanometer is what? Do you know?
Twice as long as my dick?
That's pretty bad for you, because a nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter.
1/10000000th of a meter.
What's 1/10000000th of a meter?
A nanometer. Nanotechnology has been used from creating women's contraceptives to electrically creating viruses. So this goes into that, because the creation of viruses on the, like with the nanobots, I guess, if you will, is to help eradicate disease in the body by getting something down to the molecular level. Well, here's interesting. I'm going to get back to Star Trek Next Generation. There was actually a show about this.
Every single sci-fi show out there has had some form of nanotechnology in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Every one of them.
But this specifically, there was a Star Trek Next Generation show. I don't remember the name of it because I'm not that nerdy, but I'm pretty nerdy. Where Wesley Crusher falls asleep and leaves a little can of like nanobites open. He falls asleep because he was real tired doing a bunch of science experiments were late at night. Good dorky kid.
Well, we done.
Exactly. And so these nanites or nanobites or whatever they called them get loose in the ship and get into the core of the computer, and then it turns out they actually have an intelligence and blah 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 blah.
Nanites, get back in the kitchen.
But I actually have a list here of a few things that are have already been made or being made with nanotechnology. Sweet. I just have to bring it up.
Yeah, by the way, while he's looking, Tach, every single sci-fi out there, I mean, you name a sci-fi that has had a series of longer than
I know. There was an awesome scene like in one of the Transformer movies where they did that.
Transformers. Also cool. Stargate. They did the nanites in all the Stargate movies. Battlestar Galactica.
They can come together and like make anything. And yeah, it's pretty neat.
And Transformers, the movies.
That's what I just said, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Did you?
Is that what you just said?
Yeah, you did say
Transformers. And you were like, yeah, Transformers.
It's a list of all the movies I've never seen.
But, another movie.
I'm educating her, Tach, don't worry.
Another movie,
too.
Work on it. Another movie that I think I had that was Transformers. Oh, did you guys talk about that?
That's right.
Awesome.
Nice. Okay, here's a little list within the list. Here are, like, top 8 things.
This is your twist.
Yeah, that's my twist. Super condoms. Using a simple nanofabrication technique called electrospinning, researchers have successfully manufactured
our buddy Josh with Raven-a-Box does electrospinning. He has lights on balls and spins them around.
A fabric woven from sperm blocking fibers knitted together with anti-HIV drug delivery fibers.
What the?
This is an actual thing. Okay. Molecule printers. That's another thing. Stretchable gold. I'm telling you, dude.
Thank God for that.
Stretch
I'm glad we have that.
Artificial muscles. Number 5,
Well,
stain repellent fabric coating.
number 5.
We're doing
This
the
is the
mini
list
list
within the
inside the
list.
list.
Try and
Oh, that's right.
Try
Sorry.
and keep up, Trebek. Okay. Number 6, highly targeted drug delivery capsules.
Highly targeted drug. Okay,
Here, I'll
I got
read
it.
on that. One of the big problems with cancer treatment is that doctors want to deliver medicines to the precise region of your body where the
Right.
cancer is active. For an example, okay.
Inner space.
Inner space.
Yeah.
Nice. Plastic that bleeds and heals itself.
Why would plastic bleed?
Self-healing materials.
Because you cut it.
From nice.
I guess so.
From concrete that fills in its own cracks. Cracks. To
I accidentally once filled in my own crack. That was not fun.
how did you poop?
Are you talking about that stuff that like seals a wound?
Yes,
Laser
boy.
bond.
I don't know.
Laser bond.
All right. Electricity generating viruses. A team of researchers have figured out how to engineer viruses to convert pressure into electrical energy. Paint these viruses onto the bottom of your shoes and you could power up your smartphone.
So instead of...
Or paint a dance floor with them and power your whole club.
Do you know the official name of that? Pressure-created electricity?
I do not.
It's called the Hadouken.
Nice.
You had to think about that?
Yes, I did have to think
That's
about that.
a a Street Fighter reference
Fighter.
Where the guy shoots electricity.
Yoga flame. Yoga
Yeah, that's the
fire.
one video game I did play all the time.
Oh,
Nice.
90s.
Oh, you shit.
Chun-Li was my favorite. She had those legs that go all the way up.
Yoga flame.
Everyone has legs that go all the way up.
Yeah.
Unless you're an
It'd be weird.
Unless you're an amputee, God, it's insensitive.
I'm going to ask a stupid question that has absolutely nothing to do with this show.
Yeah.
I have heard that expression my whole life. Like, I heard guys say,
Right.
look at them legs, and they go all the way up.
Yep.
Not a clue what the hell that is supposed to mean.
Nothing other than some sort of misogynist statement that says that woman's sexy. That's all that
I
it has
just
to do.
brought that
But
up like yesterday.
What is it referring to?
Technically, it means that she has nice legs.
Tall legs.
And, yeah,
Long legs.
yeah.
She has, they go
Even
all the
the
way up.
short
I'm like, I
girls'
don't get
legs
it.
go all the way up to their ass.
Some girls don't have an ass. Her legs go up to her back. So,
There's still one there. You just have to find it.
well, there's a...
As long as the crack isn't filled, right, Adam?
That's right.
Okay. Number 9. Oh, sorry, not number 9. Number 2.
So we're back to your regular list
Back
now.
to the
not
regular list.
The mini
Oh, okay.
list.
So
Now
on
back
the big list,
On the
Which
big
is
list or the
Ron's-
little list?
this episode's out of
Inception.
control.
This is Inception, man. A
Ron's-
list within a list.
Ron's
List of-
Twisted 10 humanity destroying what?
Big
Something?
Human extinction possibilities, blah, 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 blah.
Human
Scenarios.
extinction. It sounded like one word.
So number 3 was nanotech accident.
All right, got it.
Number 2.
Number
And I have no
2.
notes written for this because it's pretty self-explanatory as to what could happen, but we could
Pretty
discuss.
self-explanatory.
God comes back.
Yeah, how'd you know?
Damn, I hope that wasn't number one.
Overpopulation.
Oh, yes.
Pretty basic right there.
We've gone from...
Overpopulation.
Just overpopulation of the earth.
And so the Earth crushes upon itself.
No, we run out of natural
It just
resources.
gets so heavy, starts sinking down, you get further and further away from the sun. That's awesome.
That's from McDonald's.
That should be a movie.
Supersized Earth.
Oh,
And number 1, McDonald's. No, I'm just kidding.
The Kardashians take over. Number 1.
The Kardashians' asses got too heavy and sunk the earth.
Kardashian's ass is her own
No,
moon.
Kim Kardashian. No, Kanye West becomes president.
Ugh.
That's another way the Earth gets destroyed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Nice.
We could go on and on and on.
Yeah, so we obviously came up with some great reasons why overpopulation would cause the...
Back in all
It
reality
is
here,
self-explanatory.
Earth's population in just the past 100 years went from 6 billion to 7 billion people. That's in just 100 years. It took us how many 50,000 years of human evolution to get to 6 billion?
Human.
So look at that.
Actually, 200,000 years.
200,000. Yeah, that's right. Ron is a paleoanthropologist. Hobbyist. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
we're what at those rates in the next 50 years we'll be at 8 billion. At that same exponential rate we'll be at 8 billion people. That's ridiculous. That's our planet cannot sustain that. So we would have to figure out a way to get off this planet.
Yes.
Well, if people like the Duggars quit having like 20 kids at once.
Number one reason. The Duggars.
Oh my God, Jessa Duggar. Sorry, she is freaking gorgeous. Oh my God,
She's married now.
I don't even know
but
what one
she
of
is
them looks like.
beautiful.
Been kissed.
No,
I've
don't
never
know
seen
either.
one of them.
She's like, she is so gorgeous.
She's
oh my
absolutely
God.
gorgeous.
She's
A lot of the
gorge.
Duggars girls are
beautiful
very
girl.
beautiful.
Are
oh
they?
my God,
Hmm.
I gotta look her up.
They're all growing up to be very pretty. Jill is beautiful. Too.
Okay, so that was number 2, overpopulation.
All right.
Now, number 1. This is going to just
Dun, dun,
sew
dun.
everything up. This is something probably nobody here, possibly if you have heard of, possibly you, Adam,
Do we
have
want
heard
to
of
take
this.
some? You want the group to take some guesses first?
Am I?
So
Yeah.
that's
I will-
Jessa Duggar.
I can't have my glasses on.
I will take a million guesses. You can guess you can guess as much as you want. You will not get what I have put for number 1. You will not believe what number 1 is.
All right. So human
I don't
extinction.
care.
I don't care about
I
that.
only looked it up for you.
Human
Oh, for me?
extinction events.
Thanks, buddy.
We've already gone over zombies, which is okay.
And it's not McDonald's.
It's not McDonald's.
It's not a religious
That's a
thing.
good guess. Nope.
What's going on?
We're trying to guess as number 1.
Aliens.
Ooh, aliens is not a bad guess. What is it called when
Independence Day?
eradication?
You know what?
Yeah.
Aliens
Alien
is
invasion.
alien invasion isn't it, but it's part of the discussion of this topic because this
That gets
isn't
the
really
honorable mention, huh?
It gets an honorable mention, and that's another one I didn't put. Alien invasion isn't really what number 1 is, but number 1 is more of a concept rather than a specific thing. So
Okay.
it's something you'll probably never get.
Zombie aliens.
So how did you know? with nano super condoms
Who overpopulate the earth.
and eat too much McDonald's with the Kardashians.
Got it. I win.
No, nothing, Tach?
No.
No, I'm all set, right?
Natural-
Are you all set?
Natural phenomena, natural phenomenon of some
It's
kind.
not any kind of phenomenon at all, really. But, well, it kind of is. Or probably has been, even.
All right, Captain Vague.
The suspense is killing me.
This is
All right,
a
go.
concept called Fermi paradox.
Oh, that was my next guess.
No.
I knew you were almost there, right?
We were just talking about Fermi paradox. You remember that? We were talking like a couple weeks ago.
Second planet?
Have you
No.
ever heard of the concept of Fermi paradox?
I don't think so. I might have in theory, but I don't know the name.
I promise you, especially anyone, and I know you're into science too, just after this conversation is over, because what I'm going to go into is just scratches the surface of Fermi paradox. Look it up and read everything you can.
Weren't
spend-
Furbies what you bought at like the store?
Fermi paradox. Fermi, Fermi. So I'm going to try to explain Fermi paradox.
Let's try to explain it to you.
So obviously, aliens, as you mentioned, it's always an interesting topic. People think we've been visited by aliens. Some people think there's no way we've been visited by aliens. It's impossible.
That prime minister, or not prime minister, but that senator out of Canada went on record to say that we have.
Okay, went on record to say that we
No,
have.
that was the Secretary of Defense.
It was actually
Is that what he was?
Jimmy
Yeah.
Carter has even tried to say that he believes we were, and blah blah blah. And some
Buzz
people
Aldrin
believe
also.
some people believe that we aren't, and whatnot. But assuming that there are aliens, right?
Okay.
I think what most of us in here would believe that they probably exist somewhere.
Sure.
Right.
In one way
Yeah.
or another.
And assuming that we haven't been visited, that
Okay.
maybe not, right? Why not? Why, if there are aliens across the whole universe, let's just say in the galaxy, the odds are
Sure.
there is other intelligent life in the galaxy, right? The odds are.
Yeah, the odds are there.
Based on the
yes.
numbers. Okay. Why? That's really kind of the essence of the Fermi paradox. Why not?
Statistics?
Like, what do you mean
You
statistics?
said why?
Yeah, like why? Why do you think that is?
It's just statistically there has to be.
Well, no, the
statistically,
question.
no. Why have they not? Assuming that they haven't been to the Earth, because I truly don't believe that they actually have. But why not?
Why haven't the question isn't why
haven't
don't
we
they
come in
exist?
contact? Why
The question
haven't
is
we
why haven't
heard
they visited us?
radio? You know, why we were listening?
Well, hang on. I can answer that one.
Okay,
that's
go
a little
for it.
different. So
Okay.
the distance. So the whole problem there is the traveling issue.
Okay.
So even light to get from multiple distances away of where those galaxies are multiple thousands of light years away
Mm-hmm.
would take so long to reach us that the time that it would take for that radio signal to reach us would be too long. So there would have to be some other type of transportation for them to get here. So let's assume somebody
Okay.
was listening, and our first radio emissions that came off the planet in the 40s or late 30s finally made it to them.
Yes.
So they are roughly 50 to 60 light years from us.
Which is Hitler's speech, by the way.
That's exactly right. You got that out of the movie? contact.
No, I just read it somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, let's assume that our transmissions finally reached them.
Okay.
Oh, there's planet Earth. We want to go visit them. They would have to have the ability to travel to us, even at that same speed. It would take another 60 years for them to reach us, assuming it just reached them today. So at the very, very minimum, it would be 120 years from that time for that culture to reach us, unless there's some other way of traveling, hence warp drive, faster than light, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so how come we haven't heard anything from them? What about their radio signals? What about their radio waves? What about their way to contact? Why haven't we heard that?
You can't focus
There could be a billion reasons why.
Right?
Our radio
anything
telescopes
from
pointed.
maybe they're not developed that highly yet. It could be anything from
nobody in the
they don't
entire, no
use
planet in the
radio
entire
waves?
galaxy.
Hang on.
I'm not saying that.
You're almost on that. The theory that I have on that, why haven't we heard them, is the technology for us to listen for radio signals has only been working for the last maybe 40 years.
Yes.
So radio telescopes to listen for that specific thing. Much less attention than exploration and science discovery and whatever. So just to listen for those other signals. They wouldn't flood us at all like it would be picking up an FM station. This would be, finding a hair on a dog with a telescope across a field. It's very, very difficult to do. So you have to focus right in that exact location where that star that could possibly hold that planet, it could possibly hold that life that would be transmitting.
So we're not listening right.
We might have
one of the things.
We might have only listened to 0.1% of the entire galaxy at this point, focused in and listened.
That could be another reason.
Right.
Or
I feel like you're setting me up for something.
no, I'm not setting you up for anything.
Do you have an answer?
So, no, there are answers, but this is the answer for what relates to human extinction, and that's extinction of life in general, everywhere across the galaxy, no matter what planet you're on. It's the Fermi part of the Fermi paradox is no matter what, eventually nobody gets that far, because here's the concept.
I've heard this before.
Because
lights out across the galaxy.
We're thinking 200,000 years of human life, humans as we know it, to the technology we have now. But the universe is 14 billion years old.
The known
universe, which means there's possibly civilizations more advanced than us that existed 10, 15, 20, 100 million years ago.
Here's your problem. I see your problem, but by the time that we learn about them, they will have been deceased and extinct for billions of years.
For all the same crap that we're talking about on this list.
Yep.
They had this or something else. Every civilization.
They had a Twisted 10 podcast.
So
Tach.
part of the Fermi paradox is
they did.
Every civilization in the entire galaxy, in the universe, eventually just goes extinct. Never gets enough time to actually expand, because if a civilization could exist that long, they predict that it would only take this is funny, 10 to 15 million years to actually spread out through the galaxy, where they would come across us or we would come across them. The reason that never happens is they go extinct for one reason or another. They destroy themselves.
Interesting.
Maybe they just don't want to come to Earth.
Yeah, we're not that exciting. I don't know if you knew that.
Now, if you listen to the Fermi paradox, that's not the only reason the Fermi paradox says, but that's a big main reason, is that you just drive yourself to extinction one way or another. Whether it be some kind of weird physics experiment and you suck yourself into a black hole, maybe somewhere out there, some damn planet was doing that, and whoosh, they just sucked themselves up into a black hole.
I try to suck myself into a black hole every night, and I keep falling off the couch.
Nice.
Another reason though we may not have been contacted is because, who was it said? I think Tyson said it. Or no, it might have been
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson.
I swear, when you said Tyson, I was thinking Mike Tyson.
They might not be.
I pity the fool.
No, they may not see us as intelligent life.
No, it's
right.
It is possible.
That was definitely Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and you're talking about the difference in our evolution. Yeah. So our evolution from a primate is only off by just a tiny, tiny bit in our DNA strand. Well, if the next step of that change for the next level of evolution is that much more of a great, advantage for that little of a tiny difference or variance in that DNA strand, then they are so much more evolved than we are, just in that one evolutionary hop. Yeah. So that would be like us trying to teach science to monkeys, where they would view us the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was a great speech.
Stopping by.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you see how that makes sense? I mean, doesn't that make more sense than just about anything? That nothing gets that far.
Yeah.
Nothing
it's just
ever.
a paradox.
It's just nothing.
It's exactly what
That
it is.
civilization eventually just ends before it can, in essence, spread itself throughout.
That's
You know,
It's the
entire
whole
galaxy.
like you can't kill yourself in time travel loop kind of a thing.
That's a little bit
Paradox.
of a bit depressing though, isn't it? I mean, it's depressing when you first were learning as a child to growing into an adult, knowing in our lifespan we will never be able to travel to the stars. But our technology is advancing, and maybe one day we will, but it will never do that in our lifetime. That same theory has that same effect on me as a grown adult. That paradox theory is pretty depressing if you think about it.
I
No
guess
one will
so.
ever
And
travel
also-
those
I'll
distances.
take you to the
Another
stars.
thing that
Aww.
but like that almost comes across as intelligent design though.
You know what? As I'm reading through it, it almost does. So what do they call it? Evolution versus, is it creationism? Is that-
Creationism
Yeah.
versus
It
evolution.
almost does. And again, you know me. Not touching that.
Huh.
That almost does. Like, it's almost set up that way.
Yeah. It's
Like, but isn't it
it's like
funny?
an
I mean,
interlock.
you and I, Adam, have had science, discussions all the time.
Absolutely.
And how many times have I said, wow, we're lucky that we've gotten this far. So
Well,
many things.
almost as many times as you said, Jesus will save us.
No, yeah.
No offense to the Jesus fans.
No, I never said that.
I am.
But,
Definitely creation.
but it's interesting that I've said, wow, we're so lucky to be here. And it's so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just interesting that, it kind of almost goes into like, it's almost like intelligent design. Like somebody designed it that way
created
to
an
make
interlock.
sure,
God.
to make
Hello.
sure
Andrea's like, I already have the
that
answers. You guys are
nobody
just,
ever got that far.
you guys don't know what you're talking about over here.
Like, you're cute over there with your cleavage. Just stay over there.
Jesus made this cleavage.
I know.
Okay.
All right, so that's
Praise the
my
Lord.
top 10.
Dude,
But
that's a
I
great
definitely
top 10 list.
encourage.
It's awesome.
I definitely encourage everybody to go just check out the Fermi paradox, because the part I was talking about, which
Yeah.
is the whole we just never get that far. It's just one little. The paradox is really it's the question of why do we not have contact with alien life? And
Right.
there's multiple reasons. You mentioned some of it. You mentioned some of it. All that is in there, and so much more. It's really interesting.
I've seen it.
But I wanted
Sold me.
to kind of relate to the whole
Wait,
extinction
you,
thing.
You missed that, Ron. Get closer to your mic. Say
I
that.
said I've seen aliens too.
You've seen Aliens too?
With Sigourney Weaver?
I was probably
Yes!
You've seen
And Bill
aliens?
Paxton?
I was probably
Cut
in
the power, man! They're
fourth-
animals!
Hey man. hey, I want to hear this.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was probably in the 4th or 5th grade, and I was staying at my cousin's house. And we were asleep in bed, and I remember I woke up,
Hey Ronnie.
and I saw there were shapes, like maybe a square and a triangle, like different colors, like neon colors. There were 2 of them that had different shapes that were kind of like floating in together. They came to the bottom of the bed, and her feet were sticking out, and they were over them. And she remembers me trying to wake her up. Kelsey, wake up! There's something looking at your feet. But she wouldn't wake up, so I just pulled the covers over my head and went back to sleep. But both of us still remember that to this day.
What do they look like?
They were
Shapes?
like I would say
Shapes?
like a green triangle on top of like a hot pink rectangle, like just floating shape things of
That's
color,
weird.
bright colors.
Why don't you put her in charge? Oh, sorry, I was doing more lines from Aliens.
Leave her alone, you bitch.
Oh, and it
bitch.
appeared that they came out of the TV from where I was sleeping.
They came out of
Poltergeist?
TV.
They might. Maybe it was a ghost.
They're here.
It was haunted. It was haunted out there too, though.
That's awesome.
All right, look, I believe aliens, but ghosts don't exist. There's a line. I'm just kidding.
That's funny because that's how I feel about it.
So, how do you feel about the Boogeyman?
The Bookie Man?
The boogeyman.
I see him at my bookstore all the time.
Oh, you want to make your bets?
The boogeyman?
The Boogeyman.
The boogeyman? Oh, the boogeyman. I like
Yeah.
that.
Bookie Man. Nice.
Hey, I'm gonna boil your feet.
You
So-
get really scared of him.
Now I'm supposed to repeat the entire
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
right?
Re-
Okay.
Recap the list for us, Ron.
So, recapping the list. Number 10, zombie apocalypse. Number 9, solar storms. Number 8, artificial intelligence. Number 7, bee extinction. Number 6, super volcano. Number 5, runaway physics experiments. Number 4, synthetic biology. Number 3, nanotech accident. Number 2, overpopulation. And number 1, Fermi paradox.
Okay, so now, if you weren't afraid for your life, or
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world
As we know it.
And I feel fine.
I feel like
All right.
committing suicide.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate that was an awesome list run. That was very
Thank you.
very well put together and executed wonderfully, and probably one of our longest episodes.
Yeah, definitely. That's good though.
Yeah, but I think it's
we
was
had
definitely
fun.
worth
We
it.
had fun with this one for sure.
Just in case
Indeed.
it's the last one.
Right.
Very good.
Well,
So, anything you want to plug, Ron?
Oh yeah, I'll plug a couple things. My podcast, Unsquish the Fish, which is a Miami Dolphins podcast. I'm sure so many of your listeners are big Miami Dolphins fans. And
we've had a couple pieces of email because we've plugged on Squish the Fish on several other shows, but we've had a couple pieces of email on it.
and I'm also co-host of the Finsiders podcast. And
these are all like Miami Dolphins football.
yeah, it's all
fan-
Miami Dolphins
I
stuff.
love
Fan
the Miami
cast.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
It's my favorite team.
When I first met Andrea, I asked her what her NFL team was, and her response was whatever your team is. That's an
Nice.
awesome answer, isn't it?
It is.
I love the Dolphins now.
All
Whatever
right.
food
Who did you like before?
Redskins?
Oh, the Redskins. Okay.
Were you thinking of any name you could think of?
No.
Oh, okay.
So you have an
That would be
her
even harder.
ex-boyfriend.
That's very good.
What did you say?
Ex-boyfriend. She was trying to remember.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Ex-boyfriend.
Which one? Who was my ex-boyfriend? What did he like?
It would make more.
Before that was the Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
It would make more sense if your ex-boyfriend was a New England fan.
Why?
Oh.
He's kind of a dick.
Ah.
All right, we're getting off topic here.
Yeah, this episode's out of control.
So where can people find you, reach you?
Oh, if you want to
contact
if you want to reach me on Twitter, I'm at Fins Broadcaster, FINS Broadcaster. If you just want to email me in general, you can email me. I don't know, there's a bunch of emails, but I gotta pick one.
Perfect.
Facebook, yeah, find my Facebook like page, Unsquish the Fish. That'd be the best way.
Facebook.com/unsquish the fish.
There you go.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, Tach, on that note, I think I'm going to go jump off my Fermi paradox into a black hole full of killer bees and
Indeed.
call it a day.
Yeah, and if listeners, if you have ideas for a top 10 list or whatever, any comments or hate mail, whatever, or if you want to send pics, whatever, or you want to get a hold of Andrea,
Just send us anything you want.
Selfies.
selfies, whatever. Contact show. It's a generic one right now. It's the twisted10@gmail.com. But that's it. I'm Tach,
I am Adam.
and that's Andrea.
That's me.
And thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
That's nice. All right, so this week we have a guest. He is Ron Canniff from Unsquish the Fish.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
Oh,
Okay,
Am
all
I
right.
supposed to keep talking?
No.
So number one.
Well, no, we'll start at number 10 and work your way
sorry.
backwards.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to reverse it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm here too, though.
I know. We're going to get there.
We also have one other guest in studio, and that is Miss Andrea Joy.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
For those of you who don't remember, she brought us the top 10 twisted laws that are still in effect.
Ridiculous laws.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous
Sorry,
laws, yeah.
I'll get punished for that. Yeah, ridiculous
Lucky.
laws. That was a really good episode. I like that one a lot.
Indeed.
Oh, thank you guys.
Oh my god, that's what I had. No, I'm just kidding.
Bam! Right out of the water.
Well, guys, it's been fun.
Great episode.
Nice. Yeah, so Ron, you did the preparation, so you've listened to a few of these shows, so you kind
All
of know
of-
the format.
all of them.
You listen to all of them?
I've listened
Very
to all
cool.
of them.
Awesome.
You know the format. You do the research on your top 10 and bring your list. Me and Tach, and in this case, Andrea, have no clue what your top 10 list is all about.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too.
Ecstatic.
And I know especially, I think everyone's gonna enjoy it, but I know especially,
Yeah?
like you're gonna eat up some of the stuff on this list.
Oh, sweet.
You could talk about this stuff for days.
I'm in, man. So here, what Tach and I are going to do is pretty much turn the show over to you, man. This is, you're behind the steering wheel of this fucking bus, so you take it where you want to go.
All right, in the spirit of
gentle.
how you guys normally do it, I don't really have a great name for it.
Sweet.
We'll figure it out as
We'll
we
name
go.
it. Yeah,
For
we'll
now,
name
we're
it.
gonna go with not top 10 ways, but really 10 ways, probably most of them least likely. Top 10 least likely but possible ways the things that could cause human extinction.
Human
Ooh.
extinction.
So
One of Andrea's favorite movies to watch out of all of the different genres is the pandemic, epidemics, apocalyptic movies.
Yeah, these
Love
are-
them.
Sweet.
Yes.
so it's
I
top
like it.
10 twisted. What is it?
End of the world.
Top 10,
Top 10 twisted,
tantalizing,
titillating.
terrific. We'll come up with it.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So I have no twist in this. These are all actual things
Okay.
that could happen, although some much less likely than others. Also, I will say that what you will not hear on this is nuclear war is not on this list because everybody knows
So the
that.
obvious ones are not there, or for
Right.
the most part, the obvious ones. Are not there.
Pandemic to an extent, like a
Okay.
normal kind of pandemic, you're not going to hear on there. Trying to think of what are I don't want you guys to name anything because you might need something on here.
No, I know.
I'm trying
I
to
have
think of some
ideas,
other-
but I don't want
I'm
to say
trying to
anything.
think of some other real basic
Okay.
ways that
I was thinking gluten was going to take over the world.
that was
Die.
number 11. It just didn't make the list.
Just
Who was it? Was it your list that actually told us the number of people who actually suffer from the gluten intolerance or gluten?
Yeah, we
whatever it
talked
was,
about gluten
was
on
like
another episode.
0.02% of people in the world
Yes.
actually have it, and it's now a giant fad, and it's all it is a marketing campaign.
Yes,
all
it's
it
a
is.
marketing campaign to
Yeah.
make money, of course, like
That's
most of the
okay.
diets.
Right.
I'm on an all gluten diet.
All gluten. Give me the extra gluten, please.
So I attempted to, although many of these things you guys will have heard of before, but they're all less likely to cause the extinction of mankind.
Okay.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, take it away.
Number
It's
10,
your show.
which I accidentally numbered number 1, but I will do reverse number.
Failure.
So-
That's the same thing our boy Jimmy did in here. You know Jimmy, I think, right?
I know Jimmy.
Okay.
yes. So number 10, zombie apocalypse.
Sweet. That's my favorite. All right off the bat.
All right, so
Go ahead.
okay, so I will say what I wrote here, my little summarization of my
Right.
information, and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
Okay, so CDC warnings have been given, actually. Says possibility not likely, but has given out much information on preparing for one just in case, according to an article in Forbes magazine. Also, the U.S. government enacted a bill in 2012 to prepare just in case of
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to The Twisted 10, bringing you original and unique, host-created top 10 lists, recorded live in world-famous Cocoa Beach, Florida, with hosts Tach Van Sickle and Adam Poston.
Welcome, everybody, to the Twisted 10. Yet again, here we are for another week. Whoop, whoop. My name is Tack. Across from me is...
I am Adam.
That's Adam.
Did I interrupt you?
No, it's cool.
I didn't
I was
mean to.
going to do some sort of superlative or something. It doesn't matter.
Super what? Super laxative?
Super laxative. That's what I was going to do. So, how are things?
Hey man, I'm happy. Pretty good.
Hey, you know what's cool about today's episode?
What's that?
A few things, really. Well, this is number 13, so good luck.
Yeah.
Also, we don't have to do anything in this
Yeah,
episode.
I love it when we bring guests in.
We
That way
have another guest. I'm so excited.
we don't have to actually record or prep for recording. Yeah.
I actually haven't had to make a list in a long time because we just have guests all the time.
a zombie apocalypse, including how to protect non-zombie humans. That is a quote in the bill. From
Holy
zombies
shit.
and how to eradicate the zombies and more.
Attack on the same bill. They talked about fairies that are going to come down
Yeah.
and fly us away on their wings.
Is this
and-
like zombie Americans, so they have like no rights? Is what they're saying?
Pretty much that once you're a zombie, we're just wiping you off the face of the earth.
So
You're
no
done.
rights, no zombie rights at all.
No, there'll be no zombie rights.
Just last rights,
I searched
right?
really hard to figure out what bathroom they're allowed to use. I couldn't really figure that one out.
Oh, too
We're
soon?
not concerned. They have no rights, so we're not concerned.
Well, they are
They don't
zombies.
have rights.
They are zombies, so they have a big target on their head.
Yeah.
Oh, you see what I did there?
They're
Bam.
not going to even
I
use
like
the
that.
bathroom. They're just going to go.
Yeah, I like that.
seconds.
Yeah, likely. They just use their pants that they bought at Target.
While they were human.
So I figured that would be an interesting topic of conversation. Like, we think it's all sci-fi, and mostly it is. But they're concerned, the CDC is concerned, that if a disease caused zombie-like had a zombie-like effect on people and was mass spread,
Sure.
that the actual zombie apocalypse could happen. The CDC actually likes all the zombie craze. It thinks that it encourages the zombie preparedness.
Well, it's a giant social experiment is what they're doing with a lot of the things that are out there. All this